that help indirectly with maybe health care. Of course, our health department is involved with that. Our social services department is involved with that. So it takes a community to try to reduce this. I doubt we will ever see the day that we will have this completely solved in our community. But we already have shown some strides. If you didn't see the newspaper the other day, the Secretary of HUD, Castro, had a conference call with several people concerning what we had done with veterans homelessness. And that is a great accomplishment for this community, Mr. Keefe, as you pointed out. I think that we shouldn't have not one single homeless veteran on our streets of this community.
Amen.
So I applaud everybody's efforts, and I think this is one step in the right direction, and I'm sure our manager will have some recommendations for us going forward into next fiscal year, as well as this will be a topic of discussion under the leadership of the new chairman probably at the beginning of the year. So thank you for allowing me to say that. I don't normally speak on issues, but this is one that's close to my heart, and I know that this board, or as you indicated, Mr. Fairclough, cannot solve this problem alone. It takes the community, and it takes community agencies. So with that, I'll be quiet.
And I'm not going to, Mr. Larissa Ritt and those from Family Endeavors are here. I just wanted to let the ordinance know that they are out in the ordinance. They were the ones that, with the veteran homelessness, so we just like to recognize them.
Okay, what's the wishes of the
I'll
board?
make a
Is
motion.
anything?
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Lancaster,
Yes, ma'am.
we agreed to postpone our remarks.
He was making a motion.
He was making a motion. I'm just gonna make a motion.
Oh,
Make
okay.
a motion, Mr.
I've learned not to editorialize. Yeah, I'm prepared to make a
Good,
motion.
and I'm gonna second it.
Yeah, for all of those who are homeless, this evening or at any time, make the motion to approve this homelessness initiative and approval of 2 new positions associated with this budget revision.
Second.
Second.
All right, been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you so much.
Item number 7 is nominations to boards and committees, the Joint Appearance Commission.
Is there a nomination to the Joint Appearance Commission? There is one person that is eligible for reappointment. Anybody like to nominate him for reappointment? Mr.
If I can get there.
That's Mr.
George-
Quigley, George Quigley.
George,
Is it quickly? Yeah.
Well, if nobody will nominate him,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
nominate him.
Oh, I just did
Yeah.
that. Oh, that's what I thought I did.
Okay, all right, good.
And appointing, or what?
All right,
What are we doing?
Nominate.
nominate.
Just nominate. Okay, I'm sorry.
Any other nominations? Okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, there's a vacant position, though, is there not?
Don't see a vacant one.
Huh? It says, yeah, because mine says waiting on recommendation, so you're saying we're not doing that one because they're gonna bring back a recommendation? At the bottom of the sheet, it has Mr. Quigley, who was for reappointment, then there was another one said vacated by M. McLean. I don't know. And it just says waiting on recommendation, so I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well,
So I guess that's
we
next
can either
month.
wait or we can nominate if somebody wants to nominate.
We can wait.
All right, okay.
All right.
All right, next one is the Farm Advisory Board. Mr. Fairclough, we have 3 vacancies and 3 nominees.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would move that the following individuals, Cheryl Jernigan, who is a new appointment, and Wayne Beard and Vance Tyson, who are reappointments, be appointed to the Farm Advisory Board by acclamation.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. I guess we need to vote on that if it's by acclamation, but all in favor? Make it official.
Unanimous.
All right, the next one is the Fayetteville Cumberland County Economic Development Corporation. It was my understanding some nominees were gonna be withdrawn. Does anybody want to withdraw any nominees?
Yeah.
Mr. Keith Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I would like to pull the name of former Commissioner Billy R. King.
Okay. Mr. Keith?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to withdraw the name of Mr. Franklin Douglas Byrd.
Okay. All right. Mr. Evans?
No,
I got
sir.
you. I got you now, okay. All right, so we have two people nominated for the three-year term. You want to pull one of those two?
I can make this easy. I'll pull Mr. Richardson's name also from the 3-year term.
There you go.
Okay.
And we can go by
Thank
acclamation.
you.
There you go.
All right, so that evens it out. The one-year term is the chairman or his designee. The 2-year term is Mr. Tim Richardson. And the 3-year term is Ms. Juanita Pilgrim. And we had a list that came in late, but is there any nominees that we want to put in there in addition to the ones we have?
No, I move
Everybody's
these.
okay? All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Fairclough?
Okay, inasmuch as we have an equal number of appointments for the open positions, Mr. Chairman, this time I would move that we would, for the 1-year term, we would nominate we would appoint the Board of Commissioners Chairman or his designee or her designee for a 2-year term, Mr. Tim Richardson, and for a three-year term, Ms. Juanita Pilgrim, and that those appointments be made by acclamation.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Unanimous.
Okay,
Okay, and for the Tourism Development Authority, I move that the nominee for the hotels, motels under 100 rooms representative, Mr. Vivek Tandon, be approved by acclamation.
okay, Mr. Keith, I miss you from something?
That was withdrawing Mr. Richardson's name,
Okay,
sir.
all right,
Second.
Need a second, okay.
all right.
I did.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Unanimous.
All right. Item 9 is personnel matter in closed session. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Unanimous.
Historic Courthouse. The Cumberland County Historic Courthouse Planning and Inspections, a vision for orderly growth. Code enforcement, ensuring safe, compliant properties. Cumberland County's historic courthouse, nearly a century of history. All this and more in this edition of Cumberland Matters. Welcome to Cumberland Matters, the program where we bring what's happening in Cumberland County to you. In this edition, we are on location at one of the county's showpieces, the historic courthouse. The Cumberland County Historic Courthouse's distinctive style makes it stand out downtown. Historic Properties Manager Bruce Dawes tells us about the interesting history of this former center of county government and law, now entering its 9th decade of service.
Well, actually, the historic courthouse for Cumberland County is number 6 in the history of Cumberland County. This courthouse served up until the time that we moved into our current courthouse. The first county seat was in Linden, and the courthouse was a log structure. And then there were several others, the most enduring courthouse being located at St. James Square, built in the late 1700s and served Cumberland County until 1894, when they moved to the 5th courthouse located at Gillespie and Russell Street. The 6th courthouse, this courthouse, is built in the neoclassical form and certainly speaks to the opulence of Cumberland County with its beautiful architecture. 2 buildings really stand out in southern towns: bank buildings and courthouses. And the courthouse was the center of activity. In the courthouse today, we look at mostly trials and clerk of court functions, but actually most all of the county's functions took place in this courthouse, to include the 2 top stories which served as the Cumberland County Jail, and the basement which served as the headquarters for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department. All other county offices residing within the walls of this historic courthouse. This is the Superior Court Judge's Chamber, where many famous trials took place. Adorning the walls are portraits of very famous people at Cumberland County's bar, people that made monumental pages in our early history. But over the Superior Court Judge's bench is the portrait of Neil Hector McGahey, a Cumberland County official, the longest serving sheriff of Cumberland County. He served continuously from 1910 to 1950 and was highly respected. He's the one that Carbine Williams turned himself into after killing Deputy Sheriff Al Pate. The portrait itself was commissioned by Carbine Williams and turned over to Cumberland County and promptly placed over the Superior Court Judge's bench. From 24 to 25, it was underway with construction, and it has a lot of the classic neoclassical detailing. There's probably only 2 other structures in Fayetteville that exhibit this style of architecture: the former post office that's now the Arts Council building, and the former bank building at Market House Square, this being the 3rd one, so it is a rare surviving example of that very elaborate form of architecture. It was dedicated in 1926, and there was a lot of pomp upon the opening of the courthouse. The commander at Fort Bragg, General Bowley, and other dignitaries turned out. One of the architects involved with this courthouse was a local architect, Stiles Dixon. The other architect was from Greensboro, so we do have a local hand in the building and designing of this structure. Right across from this courtroom is the Recorder's Court, which we know today as the District Court, and that's where all of the misdemeanor trials would take place and the probable cause hearings. Towards the end of its career, this courthouse was full on court day. It had really outgrown the size that was required to handle the amount of cases. So officers and court officials were working out of some very cramped spaces by the time we moved from here to the 7th courthouse across the street. Well, in the Superior Court Judge's Chamber, you'll see portraits of people that made history in Cumberland County at the local level, at the state level, and some at the national level. We have people that practice law here that went on to be governor of North Carolina, or one of the portraits in here of Justice Taylor. He served at the local bar but became the first Supreme Court Justice. And so you have several very notable people. Out in the hallway, you'll see portraits of other early Cumberland County officials, to include some of the early county commissioners, pictures of the early Recorder's Court, which was the low court that took place here in the courthouse. One of the things that's very striking about this courthouse is the original chandeliers. Oftentimes, old courthouses will go through several evolutions as things are updated, lighting is updated, but these original brass chandeliers that are now exhibited in the courtroom were the original lighting fixtures for the courthouse. There's a big coal furnace down in the basement, and you can see where some of the vents are located in this room where the old coal heat has stained the wood paneling, which again just speaks to that period in our history. Cumberland County has done very well in preserving this old courthouse. Oftentimes, older buildings are eliminated to make way for new buildings, and we lose a big part of our history. And this courtroom is used routinely for historic tours. Children come through here, adult tours come through here. They sit where the spectators sat, they sit in the jury box, they look around the room, they look at the portraits, they learn a little bit about Cumberland County's history, which couldn't be done in a better environment.
Cumberland County's Planning Department is responsible for orderly growth by working with citizens, property and business owners, as well as government agencies. Director Tom Lloyd highlights some of this department's wide range of duties and services.
Planning and inspections ensure that not only is there orderly growth, but there's a safe environment for all to live. Not only are the structures safe, but there's adequate transportation facilities, adequate infrastructure such as water and sewer where you have denser development. Just the overall planning is beneficial for the citizens for their health, safety, and welfare. The County Planning and Inspections Department handles the all-around growth of not only Cumberland County, but also all the municipalities with the exception of Fayetteville. We handle their planning. Long-range planning ensures orderly growth. We also have the inspections arm of development, which ensures that the planning aspect is put into place. Orderly growth needs professionals to ensure that you don't just have sprawl or hodgepodge development based on just what people want to plop down anywhere. There's certain land uses that go good with one another, and there's those that are not compatible. Overall, in planning, you want to ensure that the uses are compatible that run together. You want to ensure that the infrastructure is in place where there's growth, where there's water and sewer. You will have denser development, and where you don't have infrastructure, you have less dense development. Planning and inspections work heavily with the citizens. We start when we do the plan, the overall comprehensive plan and area plans for different areas. We involve the citizenry in coming up with a plan. It's not dictated by just the professionals. It's also how the citizens would like to see growth in their area. The inspections arm also works closely with citizens. Yes, we go out there and try and enforce various ordinances, but we work with the citizens to try and help them comply with the law. We handle area plans. We break the county down into area plans, so at any given time, we have one large portion of the county being planned in conjunction with the citizens. Other projects we have, of course, we have the MPO housed here, the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Transportation, which works with all the municipalities in the urban area as well as some other counties. So we're constantly coming up with prioritization of transportation projects that need to be done. And then we're always amending our ordinance as uses change. We have to add them and see what districts they're best to be allowed in and what districts they shouldn't be allowed in. We also have the rural transportation system housed here in planning and inspections, where the elderly and disabled can get transit to doctor's offices, shopping, to work, and to school. So that's also housed in our department, where we go anywhere into the county. A demand response, meaning people call and they can get rides to work or school or whatever. We have a very good website, so any of our departments or sections, we have 8 sections, 9 when you count the community transportation. We have contact phone numbers and what each section is responsible for. We also have all the ordinances that govern development online, so we have a great website And I would suggest that if there's any planning and inspections questions, you first touch base with the website.
Central Permitting provides a one-stop location to handle and process the thousands of permits for builders and the 8 municipalities in the county. Administrator Dolores Cogdell explains how the department keeps track of permits.
Central Permit actually process the application once we receive them from zoning and the building inspector. We process the application, file the application, mail out what need to be mailed out. We take phone calls from different consumers to help them with any question about our applications or what they need to do to submit an application. And we also file the documents and mail out the documents. Okay, we keep track through our system, the CICS1 system, and that helps us to keep up with the contractor's name, the addresses, and the homeowner's name, and we can look up by the addresses on that system. And we also can look it up with the contractor's name, and we can also look it up with the homeowner's name and the address and the year also. Okay, that is also our CICS system. And we also check with the tax office so that we can get data from them as far as make sure that it is in our jurisdiction to do the permit before we can process it. And the CIS just gives us the overall view of what has been taken in. And we do monthly reports that we receive from the CIS system every month. And if a customer would like a copy of that, we can fax that out to them or email it out to them. To be a good customer service experience, you would have to be able to relate with the contractors and the people that come in. You have to sort of relate and sort of understand what they're going through and be patient with them and just give good customer service. And
Second, all in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Motion. All in favor?
Everybody have a great week.